Hello and welcome back to Irons United. Today is our match preview of the Betway Cup, the cup final, Matt, that we spent so long trying to qualify for, but we made it to the final. We've got a good chance of silverware.
Have we?
Have we? I mean, have we won it?
We won it once, haven't we? It's the worst bit. We made a cup final for ourselves to give ourselves a cup. I think we've won it once.
Oh, mate, honestly. The saga continues. So, of course, this is Matt. You recognise Matt from obviously regular shows on Irons United. I'm Anton, and you know, nothing really changes in West Ham world, really, does it, Matt? We have the ups and the downs, and I don't really know. Well, there are ups, but right now it just feels like it's constantly down. So we are going to bring to you the preview, but there is going to be some element of what's currently happening with regards to some transfers ins and transfers out, but predominantly transfers out because we have no idea if we're even going to remotely sign anyone, Matt. But before we come on to West Ham, let's talk a little bit about Bournemouth. So obviously we know they got relegated from the Premier League last year, and Eddie Howe stepped down. Or was that a bit of a shock?
Yes and no. I think don't forget what he'd done. I think they were on the brink of folding entirely out of the Football League when he took over. Like they were on the verge of dropping out of League Two, and he took them all the way up, and they sustained a few years. So you thought maybe for what he'd done in the past, he should have got another year. But then I suppose at the same time, maybe he's looked at it and gone, well, I don't think I can replicate it again with the players we've got.
Yeah.
Having said that, the manager they brought in, I'm pretty sure was the assistant anyway. So it's not like they've made drastic changes.
So it's Jason Tindall they've brought in. And for anyone that's asking, the kickoff is 3:00 tomorrow at the London Stadium. So Jason Tindall has stepped into the role. We don't, apart from the fact he's been their assistant, there's not really been a huge amount to report over the summer with regards to Bournemouth, except for their outgoings as well. I mean, they're in a bit of a situation where they've got players going in and out of of the club.
I would say they're similar to us, but I think they're in a worse position because they've lost a lot of players this year.
Yeah.
And you look at it and you're thinking, well, the players they've lost, the players that they had in the Championship, so you rely on them to get you back up.
Yeah.
And it's going to be hard for them. I'm not going to lie. They've brought in no one. They've brought in zero. Like us, they brought in zero players.
Yeah.
Sold Ake to Man City. Sold Ramsdale to Sheffield United. Defoe and Boric were already gone, but they've officially gone now. They were out on loan somewhere else.
Yeah.
They've lost, obviously, Ryan Fraser went. Jordan Imes gone. Simon Francis has gone. Brad Smith's gone. Andrew Sermon's gone. They're bleeding players.
Yep.
They've got
Harry Wilson
Daniels. Harry Wilson's gone back to Liverpool.
Yeah. So you mean you're talking 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 outgoings from the club? I mean, when a club goes down, and a lot of those players there you mentioned are the players that maybe would bring Bournemouth or help Bournemouth bounce back.
You could understand Ake because he was their biggest name and it was big money. Like 40 million for a Championship team is huge money. Yeah. You're talking like 2 or 3 years worth of money to sustain the club in the Championship.
Yeah.
But the rest of them, you look at those players they released on frees and you're thinking like even Simon Francis, Andrew Sermon, Charlie Daniels. I mean, I'm guessing Harry Wilson will probably go on loan out again, maybe for Liverpool to another Premier League team to get experience.
Yeah.
But the goalkeeper, like someone like Defoe, if they could got him back and kept him, rather than let him go out on a free, he'd score you the goals. Even at 38, 39 or whatever he is, he'd score you the goals to get you back up in that division.
Yeah.
And then there's Callum Wilson, who...
Well, the saga kind of continues with Callum Wilson. I mean, they've got him and they've got King up top, players that people are interested in. I mean, I think today, I don't know if it's Aston Villa, have had an offer knocked back for Callum Wilson. I mean, would you take him?
It's one of them. I personally don't like him, but at the end of the day, no one's going to be happy with everyone you sign. But it's the injury thing for me, is that you know full well, if we sign him, it will be like another Jack Wilshere. He'll be injured so often, like an Andy Carroll. Yeah. And we need to start moving away from him. But I mean, like I said, he's in the middle of a tug of war between Aston Villa and Newcastle. Newcastle, who spend no money under Mike Ashley,
Yep.
are on the verge of making a triple sign in the next 3 days. You know, they don't spend money. They're bringing in players. They've offered Matt Ritchie in exchange plus money. Villa are straight up offering money for him. So even Villa are spending more money.
Yeah.
So if he's gone as well, there's still talks of Josh King possibly going to Man United. He's bigged himself up again today, saying he still wants to move.
Yeah.
They lose both of them. They're gonna have to start trying to spend some money. They've raised money from the sales they've already made. You know, they've raised near enough 60 million just from Ramsdale and Ake.
Yep. But it'll be an interesting one. I mean, they've had one pre-season friendly since the end of the season. It was against Benfica out in Portugal, where they got beat 2-1. And, you know, they've got Dan Gosling, who obviously was there. And then they've got this new striker. Well, it's not new. He's been there for a little while. I can't pronounce his name, Danjuma. He scored, he got a sheet as well. But you can see potentially him having an important season for Bournemouth. But I suppose what we're going to, I mean, and let's not forget Junior Stanislas, who's obviously recovered from his injury. He's had an injury-plagued couple of seasons, but he's also, I mean, he is a good player. There's no ifs or buts about it. When his injury's not there, he's quite very important to Bournemouth. But it does come down to whether or not they can actually keep, say, King and Wilson up top. And as it stands, they currently are. But I doubt it. I highly doubt it. They're going to go, aren't they?
You think they will? I mean, if they could keep them, because they're surely not under the pressure now to sell. They raised 60 million them two sales. If you kept the two of them and you kept them fit for the season, they bang in probably 60 goals between them in the Championship.
Yeah,
and send you back up. Like, they're good enough to do it. But it's if you keep him, you know, same way that they've got the young kid Brooks on the wing, can they keep him?
Yeah,
he's someone they're going to need to keep. You know, they've already shown that they will sell players for the right price. I mean, I think it is kind of a selling market these days, whereas everyone panics about how much money they've got. So if you get decent money in for a player, you'll sell him.
Yeah.
You know, it's. But then you've got, you know, unlike us, you've got to reinvest the money. You know, as long as they reinvest the money, because that's a hard division. Like, they've let a lot of players go, but that is a hard, long division. You know, it's 46 games.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially in the current climate as well, when you're not, you know, if you're getting rid of players and you're not bringing any in, like your squad is thin, but maybe they're going to go down the route of relying so much on a youth setup and a youth system, you know, and bringing some of the younger players through, because that's what some teams do take a chance on. It doesn't mean because you get relegated with that team, you're going to stay with that team and try and get that team promoted, because it doesn't, you know, the levels between the bottom half of the Premier League and the top half of the Championship are not potentially so different, you know. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. But you got some stats together. I mean, it's the first time since '99 we've met outside of the top division. Yes, okay, we know it's pre-season, very aware of that. Playing 15 games, winning 6, drawing 5, losing 4. But the Premier League record is playing 10, winning 3, drawing 3, and losing 4. So only one win in the last 7, and that was back in January, 4-0 win at the London Stadium. I mean, they've in the recent years been a bogey team.
Yeah, so in some ways, I'm kind of happy. I like Bournemouth. I don't like some of the players. I like Bournemouth, the club. I like the manager, but I am happy to see him go purely because they are a horrible bogey team. You know.
Yeah.
We've beat them twice in the last 4 years, and one of them was at the first game at London Stadium, which was a horrible 1-0 win. You know, we generally struggle because they played that high press, intense passing game. But it's what's come back to bite them this year was that they were passing out from the back and they were making mistakes, and Eddie Howe didn't change it.
Yeah,
that's what's cost them. Now, will the new manager change tactics, or being the assistant, will he just go, "Oh no, we're just going to do this, you know, the same thing," but hopes the fresh face changes them and, you know, changes momentum? It'd be interesting to see him tomorrow, because I said they've only played one pre-season game. Now, considering the fact they start the same weekend as the Premier League, is that because they haven't got enough players? Is that because they've been working on,
to be honest though, Matt, I mean, we are in this kind of crazy climate just now where, you know, in theory you could say, well, West Ham have played three games. We've got our midfield maestro, Declan Rice has not even played a game in pre-season yet. I know he's away with England. I mean, let's come on to West Ham. We've currently got 5 players out on international duty and won't be playing tomorrow, and therefore running the risk of even potentially missing the start of the season. So we've got Yarmolenko out for the Ukraine, who scored a good goal last night for Ukraine as they won 2-1, a back heel. And we've got Fabianski out for Poland. Souček out for Czech Republic. We'll come on to this in a minute. Darren Randolph out with the Republic of Ireland. And, of course, Declan Rice out for England. But let's jump on to Souček in particular, because the rumour is that he's now come in contact with someone who's tested positive for COVID-19. Therefore, he is going to have to self-isolate, and he will miss the start of the season for West Ham. I mean, this is the future, isn't it? Really, Matt?
It is, and I think before the last set of games, everyone was saying, "What happens when someone gets it?" If it was more of a team, if he was in the West Ham team and he had it, the whole team would have to isolate, and you'd think the game would probably get postponed. But being one player, it's the same as him being injured now. They're like, "Oh, well, no, sorry, he's unavailable for 2 weeks."
Yeah.
But it does make you wonder why, when we're still in this pandemic, that UEFA went, "Oh, let's have a round of international games."
I think I'm completely baffled by it, especially at the time when it's so close to the new season, and the new season is really important to get running. But I suppose everyone's got their own.
But the thing I don't get though is, like,
agendas.
you think for the UK, how many countries are on that banned list that you have to quarantine when you come back from?
Yeah.
So how many players are going away now and going to have to isolate when they come back anyway?
Yeah.
A week before the season starts, they then can't play the first 2 fixtures because they've got to isolate because they went on international duty. It's a strange one, but UEFA want their money, so they'll play it anyway. And, it's just typical West Ham that a guy that's become one of our most key players is one that's not going to play because he's got to isolate.
Of course. I mean, yeah, it worries me that you get a little bit of confidence because we bounce back well from Project Restart, and you've got really vital players that have played a part in it. So, of course, we've got Souček who played a vital part, who's probably going to miss the Newcastle game now. And then you've got Yarmolenko, who, he played a vital role in us surviving with the last 9 games to go. And, if you see the highlights of the game, you see exactly where Yarmolenko plays. He plays right through the middle with a free role, creating absolutely everything he wants to do. He's not got the legs, but his skill outweighs what he doesn't have in pace. What is it about Yarmolenko? And he's going to be missing for the game tomorrow, but, how important is he going to be for this season coming up?
No, I think we all said it in Project Restart, play him down the middle. Because like we said, he doesn't have the legs, but his technical ability is amazing. If you play him up front with, say, an Antonio or a Haller,
yeah,
he will drop in that hole and pick up the ball, and he can dictate the play. He's a very technically gifted player. He just doesn't have the legs to run up and down that wing all day.
Yeah.
And, the way we're going, if we're only buying defenders, and we technically have one centre-forward in Haller, and, Antonio supporting him, you may have to look at saying to Yarmolenko, well, you're going to play down the middle this year because we need another centre-forward. And doing it on international duty, it's not exactly a far run for him to do it. It's not like he's, dropped out of his position. He's plays there now. So maybe it's something Moyes will have to look at and go, oh, maybe you can do that role instead.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be an interesting one. But then, of course, for the game tomorrow, we're going to be missing Fabianski, our number 1 goalkeeper, followed by our number 2 goalkeeper, Darren Randolph, which leaves David Martin and Anam. It's not a bad thing. Do you know what? I'm not so worried about the 2 goalkeepers not playing tomorrow, as long as they don't have to self-quarantine when they come home.
Yeah.
Because I quite like the idea of giving the youth players an opportunity. Now, I think we are probably in the understanding that David Martin will be playing more of a role this season, like a kind of coaching into the first team squad. What are you going to say?
Wasn't that supposed to be his job last year?
Well, yeah, but I mean, but obviously he came on and done a good job, and we know he's capable of doing a good job. But it's good to have that kind of balance between the youth keepers and the first team squad. And I really want to see West Ham give a shot to one of the younger keepers. There's so much about Anang and Trott that why is it that Premier League don't give younger keepers a chance? I think this is the perfect year to actually give one of these players the first team squad, like to travel with the first team squad week in and week out, and come the Carabao Cup, which apparently is drawn on Sunday, to give them maybe some minutes and some time in these cup runs, because you're never really going to know. You don't have to be 25, 26 goalkeeper. What's the difference really between a goalkeeper not getting a chance at the age of 17, 18, but a player can get an outfield player can get a chance at that age. It doesn't bother me as much, Matt.
For me, I think it's a good time to do it. But I think the stereotypical thing is that, if you play a kid in midfield or up front and he misses a one-on-one, he gets another go. If he makes a mistake in midfield, there's teams around him. If you make a mistake as a goalkeeper, it normally, like 9 times out of 10 and 99 times out of 100, it's a goal. Rarely does a goalkeeper make a mistake and get away with it. So a lot of coaches and managers are like, what's the pressure going to be like? Are you going to be able to handle it? Do you make any mistakes? That being said, Bournemouth done it. Ramsdale, they just sold Ramsdale. They bought him from Sheffield United and sold him back to Sheffield United. But he's only 21, 22 now, and he played in Premier League for 3 years.
Yeah.
Dean Henderson, Man United. Talk about him now. Ousting David De Gea.
Yeah.
And they sent him out, and he played Sheffield United a long last year, and he's a young goalkeeper. The problem we do this all the time. We don't give the players the chance, and then we go, "Oh, they weren't good enough to make it." You don't know if you don't try.
Yeah, of course.
And these goalkeepers are supposed to be very, very highly rated. We'll give one of the kids a go. At least give one of them a go. I would preferably play. I know the game the other day we played against Brentford. We played 2 teams. We basically played a first half team and a second half team.
Yep.
And if that was me, I'd have both the kids. I'd play one kid in the first half and one kid in the second half, give them 45 minutes each.
100%, mate. And I think this is a good opportunity for Moyes to see what these kids are capable of. And, like I said, it kind of backs up that whole kind of giving them the first team experience. And should, God forbid, any of the players pick up an injury, you need the younger players to be able to step up to the mark and challenge that position. But listen, moving further into the field, the story is being widely reported for the past couple of days, and the news that West Brom have agreed a deal to take our winger Grady Diangana to West Brom for approximately £18 million. It looks like it's £18 million up front with some add-ons. So it looks like he's going to be missing. He's probably currently doing his medical at West Brom as we speak, we believe. Give us your brief thoughts on that. And, this time last week when you were looking at our friendlies and reporting on Diangana having a good game against Ipswich, to now be told that he's going to be leaving. What is your thoughts?
From the longevity of the club, I can understand that Moyes is apparently basically being told you sell him or you can't buy any defenders, which is ridiculous because we got told there was money put aside for that anyway, but that's what he's been told. It's just frustrating that was the one guy they didn't want to sell. Unfortunately, we are very unbalanced in this team. We've got more attackers than defenders, and we've got an absolute bucket load of wingers. And if you believe the rumours, they wanted to shift out Anderson and Lanzini, and no one was interested. Apparently they even went to Arsenal and offered Anderson to Arsenal for a £5 million loan fee for a year.
Well, it's kicking. Just very quickly, the conversation regarding Anderson to Arsenal is picking up a bit of pace again. So, I was going to suggest that maybe this could be the opportunity for Anderson's year, but you can't help but think that if a team like Arsenal pull off a deal for a player like Anderson, that he would flourish in that side. You can't. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Where would he fit? That would be my first thing. Where would he fit?
He would just play
team, because their front three is Pepe, Aubameyang, and Lacazette. And for me, he's not good enough to replace any one of those three.
Well,
so already he's going in, and he's going to be
questionable. Pepe comes with a high transfer fee, but it's questionable.
He still scored more goals and got more assists than Anderson last year.
But what I'm saying is, you play Anderson in that position with the freedom to do what he does. He is capable of performing at the highest level. We have seen when he plays to the highest level, he performs.
He does, and he can.
We expect a lot more from him to track back. And
but I can't see him selling him now. I can't see them now letting Anderson go once Diangana's gone. The whole point of them letting Diangana go was that no one wanted Anderson and Lanzini. But it would be typical West Ham to do it and then get rid of them anyway, and then we'd be short on wingers and we'll struggle again.
It's laughable, mate. It's completely laughable.
But I don't want to see Diangana go. But it is if the rumor is it's 18 million up front, 2 million add-ons, and then like 20% sell-on fee. So if they actually get the money up front, and then Moyes gets to actually bring in some defenders, then it still goes against everything we are, but it might keep us up again, because at the moment, I know it's only one position, but we don't get left back in, we'll be in trouble.
Yeah.
Again. You know, it's one of them things that we need a left back in. You know, not being funny, I'd already be talking to Brentford about Rico Henry.
Yeah.
I'd literally be waiting for that signature to come across from West Brom saying it's done, and then be like just siphoning the money onto to Brentford and going want.
But isn't it crazy to think though? Like, you know, West Ham fans in particular have gone on for so long saying that we're very spoiled in the midfield position, and the two areas of strengthening we need to do is the striker and the defender. So we're now offered quite a large fee for a player that didn't cost us anything, who's not proven with West Ham, and to go to the club that he performed well with in the Championship. And if they don't invest that money in that position and then go and invest that money on a defender, I mean, Brentford are holding out for what, 20 million for Rico Henry? About that?
I read it was like 10.
Well, I think that they've pushed their value up on a lot of their players. So the rumour is that, say, Ben Rama, who potentially West Ham are linked to and we're interested in bringing in if they sell Diangana, is that they've, you know, put his transfer fee up. Same with Ollie Watkins. You know, they're not going to just succumb into the pressure. They've got these players under contract, and they are 3 good quality players that play for the club. So it's not going to cost Brentford to keep them. They're going to try and get as much money as they possibly can. So if West Ham go out there and throw, say, well, let's just say 10, 15, 20 million at a left back, is that the right decision to do? For a non-proven Premier League player, even though I know he does look like he's the real deal, especially being a left back.
It's the market, unfortunately. The market is you've got to spend money. You can rarely get something for nothing, rarely.
But can I ask you a question then? If we're going to bring in a new left back, what are we going to do with Creswell and Masuaku?
I think he'll sell one of them. I personally think he'd sell Masuaku. But we're not in a position where we can put one of them up for sale before we bring in someone else. You know, we're not in a position where we can go, hey, Masuaku's available, because you know full well that someone from Spain or Italy or Turkey will bid like 6 million for him, we'll sell him, and then we won't bring anyone in. They'll be like, oh, well, now we've only got one left back this year. So it's a case of we need to sell. I think one of them will go. I'd prefer it be Masuaku. There is talks that maybe you play Masuaku further forward as a winger, but I don't think he's good enough, personally.
Yeah,
I think he is a left wing back, not a left winger, not a left back. He's not defensive enough to be a left back. He doesn't fit our formation. I'd particularly let him go. But we need a left back and a centre back. And if we sell Diangana, we bring those in. Because let's not forget, I mean, it's the whole point of the Diangana has been our best player in pre-season. He tore up the Championship last year, and he's a guy come out of the academy. So there's always extra, you know, we're always going to feel more towards him. But we scored goals last year. I think we were the 8th highest scorers in the league last year. It's just we had like the 4th worst defence. I mean, we've conceded 60 plus goals 3 years running. We're not struggling to score goals. And that was without Diangana in the first place.
Yeah.
So pulling on heartstrings, the outcry was absolutely spot on because, you know, it was literally, was it the day before the official West Ham Facebook page put out a picture of Diangana and Boeing with like the flame emoji.
Can't wait to see them next year.
Can't wait to see them next year. Like less than 24 hours later, oh yeah, West Ham have accepted 18 million for him.
Yeah.
And they didn't even tell him. You know, this is the things, but this is the rumour as well, that he found out because it was all over like Sky Sports News. They didn't tell him they'd accepted the offer because they were still negotiating how it was going to be paid and stuff.
Yeah.
And he was like, what do you mean? He wanted to stay. Don't get me wrong, he shouldn't stay now, and I fully wouldn't. Because why would you want to stay when the owner said, no, we're selling you? Because he clearly doesn't want you being there. But we do have Anderson, we do have Fornals, we do have Bowen, we do have Yarmolenko, we do have Antonio.
And listen,
we do have Nathan Holland.
On top of the fact that Diangana is probably going to be going and obviously won't be playing tomorrow, that's another player missing from, you know, this is our last preseason game, Matt. This is like the important time where you start to see, normally, under normal circumstances, albeit the side that potentially might be lining up come the following week when we play Newcastle. But to add more things to the mixture, is Diop is out injured as well, and he won't make the game. And, you know, it's kind of leaving us short in a lot of places. What do we take from tomorrow's game and tomorrow's lineup? Because I mean, we can't really walk out of it and go, and that's going to be our starting lineup. But is this what the season's going to look like? Literally throughout the whole season, when there's a cup competition or an international segment where players have to travel and come back, especially coming into the winter.
For me, I would look at it as it is a friendly tomorrow. There's too many players missing to go. Fabianski's not there, Diop's not there, Rice isn't there. There's arguments Yarmolenko would start. Souček's not there. So even if you just say Rice, Fabianski, Diop, and Souček, that's like your core middle of your team, pretty much.
Yeah.
So tomorrow, I would try and play. If it was me, I'd play one of the young goalkeepers, and I'd pick out some key first team players, but I'd still probably play 4 or 5 kids.
Yeah.
Because if the squad's as small as it is, if we've only got money to bring in a centre back and a left back, we're going to need other positions filled. Especially like you said with COVID now, where players going to duty and they might have to come back and isolate for 2 weeks. You're going to need forget a 25-man squad. You're going to need like a 30-man squad this year.
And I think we are going to see a really strong mixture of the youth and the experience tomorrow. So I think we might see a mix. If Alessi has recovered from his injury he picked up at Ipswich, I mean, he's quality centre-half from the game I saw there. We've got Baptiste as well, who is getting a lot of plaudits from a lot of the pundits, etc. Connor Coventry can potentially step in. I mean, I know he's predominantly a midfielder, but he actually stepped into the full-back position in the game against Ipswich and didn't look out of sorts at all. So it does really give us options there to play the youth in that setup. But, I mean, we're talking a lot about all these players, potentially the outgoings of Anderson, the potential outgoing of Diangana, and it kind of brings your attention back to Lanzini, who earlier in the week was linked to going back to Saudi Arabia, who potentially is what they say is having has he got a new lease of life? And will the focus really be on a player like Lanzini to step up to the mark? Over 120 appearances for the club, 20 goals, 13 assists, and Moyes likes him.
That's one thing he's got to go in his favour is that Moyes rates him. Moyes always liked him, and he arguably had one of his better spells under David Moyes. That first year he was here under Bilic, he played really well, and then that sort of 6 months under Bilic when he almost played as a second centre forward with Arnautovic, he put his best goal scoring assisting period. It's one of them ones where if they play him in the middle, you'll get more out of him. If we're going to continue with this basically 4-2-3-1 with 2 holding midfielders and an attacking midfielder in front of them, you could see more out of Lanzini. He's had a very stop-start career. Since had that big injury when he should have gone to the World Cup, he's never really seemed to get going again. He's always either in and out of the team or injured. So the lockdown may have done him well because it's given him a consistent run of training and playing in the first team. And then, the stress of the relegation's gone, come off his back, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, well, yeah, it's all happy rosy again. It's just, if, we've got this brutal first 7 fixtures coming up, and if at the end of that we're in relegation again, how's his form going to go then? Because it does seem to be that he is there's no denying his technical ability's always been there, but his form and his mental ability seems to very much fluctuate with how we play.
Yeah.
Like if we're on form, then he's on form and he's really on form. But as soon as we start struggling, he's not the guy that's going to roll his socks up and get it done. He sort of shies away a bit. But also, he's played a lot out on the left wing and he's not a left winger.
Yeah.
We've got Anderson. You can say Fornals because he is technically good enough to play there and he's actually mobile enough to play there. Even, Masuaku and Nathan Holland. But I wouldn't play Lanzini out there because he hasn't got the legs to play out there. Much like, he's not as slow as Yarmolenko, but much like Yarmolenko, you're better off playing in the middle to get the most out of him. And he could have an effect. We're going to need him. Like I said, you're going to need a big squad this year. If the way things are going go, and, people have to isolate and international duty comes along, like you said, and then they might have to isolate when they come back. You're going to need a big squad. You're going to need the squad we had last year, which we've still got, probably another centre-back and another midfielder. There's talks about I'm not even going to try and pronounce this guy's name. Is it a Japanese player from...
Yeah, the defender.
From Schalke or something? No, sorry, Bologna or something. It's an Italian team. The guy can play holding midfielder and centre-back.
Yeah.
sort of player we probably need to. If you could bring him in and then bring a left back in for the money you get from Diangana, it's unfortunate he's gone. I'd rather keep Diangana, but we need a left back and we need a centre back.
If we play tomorrow and say Anderson isn't even featured in the squad, do we read into that too much? I think we do.
I think
if he doesn't make the
squad, I think he'll be in the squad, but I wouldn't be surprised if he get in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Because with Diangana now not there, he's going to have that's the thing. I would have turned around to him yesterday. I'd have been, if I was Moyes, I know the owners would never do it. If I was Moyes, I'd turn around and say, look, the owners did try and sell you because we need to raise the money and you're that highly valued that you get decent money. However, the situation is the kid's going, you're now the main man again. I need you to step up. I need you to be my guy. That's what you should do to him. Yeah. Give him 20 minutes tomorrow because he's going to be your guy. He is going to have to be it again. But I also think if you get in a left back behind him, you'll see better out of him.
Yeah.
I remember in the first half of the season, before David Moyes decided he didn't want to play him anymore, he spent more time going backwards than forwards because he was always tucking in and tracking back to help out. And you don't want to see that from Anderson. You need a decent left back.
In this comment here, this is where I want to actually see Anderson play. This is his best position by a million miles. So if we're keeping Anderson and sticking him on the wing, I'd rather sell him. Even with a left back in behind him, I would rather sell him. It just defeats the purpose of his position. His best performances he had when he was at Lazio, his best position when he's played when he was at West Ham, have all come from in behind the forward line, and it's just how and if Moyes can fit him into that. Because if they can't fit him into that, Matt, and they are going to play him out in the left wing, it's a completely defunct position for him. So they are then going to be looking at getting him out. For me personally, tomorrow, if he's in the squad and he's on the bench and he only gets a 20-minute run out and his 20-minute run out comes from the left wing, I can't see how West Ham want to keep him. I really can't, because he's not playing in his best position, and the fans are seeing it, and the commentator, like the pundits are seeing it. It completely defeats the purpose of the role he was brought in to do. Just trying to find, and he doesn't want to do it either. And why should why should he? He's a professional and he should turn up week in and week out. But we have got the history of doing this with players and not playing them to their strengths.
We have, but then it's his own mental state, isn't it? Because I don't see Fornals kicking up a fuss. Fornals is one of our most consistent players in post-lockdown, and he played left mid. And he's a number 10.
I could argue the point in saying that there's a little bit of a difference. One player is a little bit older than the other. Fornals has come from an under-21 international setup, albeit a great setup, to Anderson, who has performed at Lazio and performed at a high level at Lazio, albeit he disappeared here, there, and everywhere. But one is definitely a luxury player than the other. I don't think you could debate that, could you? You could debate anything.
He's going to play left mid. He will. If they play him number 10, then you're going to see Fornals out on the left wing. But it's going to be hard to fit in all these players.
It really is.
Like I said, we're too top heavy, but we've got too many of these inside forwards, should we call them?
Yep.
You've got a Lanzini, you've got an Anderson, you've got a Yarmolenko.
What we probably will see tomorrow, though, is this man step into the plate, Josh Cullen, with the missing Rice and Souček. I would be surprised if we don't see Cullen performing in the middle of the park at some point tomorrow. It is make or break season for him. I don't want to repeat myself, but it really is, Matt. It's maybe a make or break pre-season, but pre-season's done after tomorrow. But we've still got the transfer window open till October. I mean, he's really got, in my opinion, the next 3 or 4 games to show Moyes and the owners, I'm capable of performing at this level. He's 4 years old, Matt.
The thing for me is that he's shown he could do it in the Championship, and we're all saying now we should be looking at the young players in the Championship, hungry players that want to prove they can do it. He's proven he can do it in the Championship, and even if in the next 3 games he only shows you that he's good enough to be a squad player, he's only got a year left on his contract. I would keep him.
Yeah,
because if you sell him for fucking, what we get for him? 500,000, maybe. In all respect, you should get like a couple of million for him, but it's Golden Sullivan and they don't sell for anything. So, what we maybe get $1 million for him? You're not going to play whatever pennies they first get offered and accept for him. You won't replace him for that money.
No.
and you're going to need the squad, so you might as well keep him.
Yeah.
He does put a foot in. He can pass the ball. He does cover the pitch. You know, he's not the biggest. He's not the bulkiest, but he will do a job.
Yeah. Well, listen. Let's get on to. Let's try our best very briefly to try and name the starting 11 now. I think there's going to be massive changes throughout the game to go along, but I think are we going to agree that maybe David Martin will start?
Yeah, I don't want him to, but I think he will.
Yeah, and then I think we'll probably see a younger keeper come on in the second half, possibly. What about the back line? Because I think I'll give you my guesstimation for the centre backs. I think we'll see two different pairings. I think we'll see something we saw in the Brentford game. So I think we might see Augie. If Alessi's fit, we may see Augie and Alessi, or Augie and Baptiste, and then the other two come on, Balbuena or the other youth players.
Yeah.
But if one of them is injured, we may say Augie and the youth player play in the first half, and then Balbuena and Augie in the second half.
Yeah.
Because depending on whether or not we see Diop come back in time.
I think that's pretty spot on, to be honest. I think it will be... Was it Baptiste that played with Ogbonna in the friendly? Well, they've done the two friendlies at the same time.
Yeah.
So you'll probably see it that way round, and then Balbuena and Alessi the other one.
Yeah.
I think you'll probably see... Personally, I think Johnson will start.
Yeah.
And then Fredericks will play the second half.
Yeah.
And again, I think they'll probably start with Creswell and Masuaku play the second half.
Absolutely, yeah. And then midfield, we'll right in the middle of the park, we'll start with Mark Noble, I think. And I think we probably will start with Josh Cullen.
I'm going to say Jack Wilshere, because he started the last game as well.
Oh, yeah, do you know what? Yeah. No, you're totally right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Not that it works at all. Like, neither of them.
No.
I don't know. I saw it in the Brentford game. I didn't even see the game. I saw it on my phone, and I was thinking, why has he started Noble and Wilshere together? There's no legs. There's no tackling. There's no physicality.
The last time he started
Wilshere,
Wilshere, he actually had Anderson, and him and Anderson, you know, at one point in the Ipswich game, they were trying to create stuff, but no one else had the same vision as the two of those players.
I don't wrong.
I would be surprised if Anderson is in the squad tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw, going against kind of what I've said beforehand, but I wouldn't be surprised if you did see him start tomorrow on the left.
We were saying about the number 10 role, you know, like the back end of the season, in that, like, you know, the post-lockdown last 9 games.
Yeah.
You know, we saw a lot of Souček, Rice and Noble, and everyone was saying at the time, why don't you just drop Noble and play Wilshere?
Yeah.
Because that would be a perfect position for Wilshere, but, you know, he'll probably start Wilshere in the holding role alongside Noble again.
Yeah. Out in the left wing? I'm going to go Anderson.
I was going to say maybe Nathan Holland.
I don't know if he's fit.
Because I know they keep saying he's got to prove himself, and this is his last chance to lose.
I don't think he's fit, Matt.
He's not fit.
No, I don't think he's. I think he's got an injury.
In which case, well, we know Yarmolenko's not going to play. I don't know if he'll risk Antonio, because you know Antonio will start. So that leaves you what? Bowen, Fornals, and Anderson,
and Lanzini. Yep, to fit in. Of
course, that front three.
I mean, listen, we know it's not the be-all and end-all. You don't have to choose your starting 11 for a pre-season friendly, but it'll be interesting to see what happens, because there are 7 first team players that are going to be missing from tomorrow's game. So get your comments in. Let me know who you would like to see start out of all the younger players, mixing it with the experience. Who's the one that excites you the most? Get your comments in regarding the Diangana saga and how it affects you, and how it affects your opinion on what's happening at the West Ham at the club. Matt, let's just get our predictions in, and then let me remind you that tomorrow we will be doing a match day live. It's tough to do predictions, but you just got to do it for the sake of doing it. So 2-2, going for goals. He's going for goals. The youth excites me, Matt. The youth does excite me. Like, there's talent there in the right areas that we need to strengthen. That's the thing that gets to me, is like, if we are looking to strengthen in the defensive line, and particularly in the back, the centre half pairing, then we've got options there. We may not have so many options in the full back position at left back, but we've got an option on the right back, because Connor Coventry stepped in and performed really well. We know Moyes is reasonably an innovative manager. He likes to try new things and give it a shot. So the youth really excites me, and as long as we do put some of them on, then I'll think it'll be an interesting game, and I think we'll walk away with a 3-1 victory, and we'll continue our winning streak in pre-season. But that's not always good, guys, because we all do know that when West Ham perform really well in a pre-season, it usually tends to mean we're in for a crap Premier League season. So let's hope we can turn things around. But I do think one thing I will say, Matt, is I do think COVID-19 will absolutely change the whole season. I think everyone thought VAR was going to have a big say in what happens this year, but this could be another freak season. This has a potential to be a freak season for many teams. So hey ho, we'll see what happens. Any last points you want to make before you go?
I just hope we get to see some of the youth players tomorrow that they actually get involved in the squad this year. Yeah. Too often we see them in the pre-season and they just disappear. Yeah. And they go out on loan for the year. So I hope some of them are impressive enough to actually be kept around the squad this year.
Absolutely. Listen, let's get some comments in quickly before we do go. Kent Hammers, I'd love to sign Wilson and Fraser all day long if the price was right. I'm not
Fraser,
so much.
I go now that Diangana's gone. I'm going for Fraser.
Yeah, but he's off to is it Newcastle? Is it?
Well, he's apparently agreed wages at Newcastle, but
yeah. Stephen Jones, hope you're well, mate. Rumour has it that Anderson may be loaned to Arsenal for $6 million. Yeah, we've seen that. We've discussed that. And, I think he would absolutely flourish under an Arsenal setup, if I'm being brutally honest. Let's see what he's saying. Hopefully Arsenal will buy him for $30 million if he plays well for them. I just think $30 million is quite low for... okay, he's underperforming, but it's a low value for...
If we get the $6 million loan fee and then the $30 million, you'd have got your money back. And they'd take their hands off for that at the moment. This moment in time.
Kent Hammers, I'd play Anang, quality young keeper. I completely agree. I'm totally up for it. Lee Ansell, I hear Souček is possibly not playing against Newcastle, self-isolating. Yep, we've discussed that. He looks like he's been in contact with someone from COVID-19.
Although the club hasn't actually spoken about this at all, have they?
No.
It come out from one of the coaches from the Czech setup.
Yeah. Kent Hammers, Rico Henry's the man, said it for months, 100%. I think he does look quality. I think he showed that against West Ham. He was the standout player between the two sides against the West Ham side, but also he was part of a Brentford side that didn't concede many goals last year in the Championship, and that's not easy to do. I think they were 30-something goals out of 46 games, and it's this quality defence in there. Would rather have taken a big loss in Anderson, sell him for $15 million and kept Diangana, DJ Blokey. There's going to be a massive uproar either way.
Well, no one wanted him, did they? That was the problem. That's what the rumour is that Moyes wanted to sell Anderson and Lanzini, and no one wants them. So,
English Yardie, Anderson game is perfect for Arteta. Arteta's a visionary coach. We are pathetic. It's disgusting. He is a visionary coach, and I do think he would work out well for them. I don't want him to go, but let's see what this one's saying. Epic #time. West Ham going down. It can't be avoided. The owners will sell Rice, pocket the cash. They're going to drain the club dry and sell. There's loads of comments in here. GSB out, etc.
I don't think they're going to. For me, if they're going to sell Rice, they need to do it within the next week. I do it before the first game of the season, so you've got the money to spend to replace him. I think we know he's going to go. I personally think he won't go till next summer. Havertz is flying in today for a £100 million move to Chelsea, on top of what they've spent, and they're trying to bring in a goalkeeper. I don't think he'll go this year. I think he'll go next year. And we all know he's going to go next year. And it's just as long as they get the money that he's worth.
Yeah, that he's worth.
It's fair enough.
That's something to think about, though, as West Ham fans, when it comes to Diangana. Because Diangana's got this price tag slapped on him. And, if he performs bang average at West Ham this year, that dramatically decreases.
That was one of the things. That was one of the things, wasn't it? That was one of the supposed things that Sullivan and Gold looked at when the offer came in. Because the Pay's all got it wrong. The Telegraph even admitted it now and changed what they said. Because they said it was 12 million plus add-ons up to 18.
Yeah.
It's not. It's 18 million plus 2 million to make it up to 20.
Yeah.
So you're getting 20 million plus a 20% sell-on fee for a guy that hasn't played. He's played 15 games in the Premier League. Yeah. It's their point of view is, if he comes to West Ham this year and he absolutely flunks out the place, you're never going to get anywhere near that money for him again. So they're like, well, the 20 million. But we all know if it was any other team, i.e., if that was Brentford, he would have gone for 25 million plus.
Yeah,
which is what he should have gone for. It's just case in point that we went, we'll get 18 million for Diangana and then we can use that money, we'll get Benrahma. And they've gone, well, we want 25 to 30 million for Benrahma. And West Ham went, oh no, we can't afford that. Oh, we won't replace him then. Like,
let me do the last 3 comments, Matt. Kent, I'm very angry and upset about our club. I feel like all the people that are as loyal as they come and have renewed season tickets, etc., are being taken for granted. But I can't give up the drug. I'm addicted.
yep.
I'm exactly the same with you, Kent. I'm angry,
I've
upset.
renewed. Same. Yep. Same.
Yep, and then he's gone. Avram Grant team won every preseason game. I really want to forget that, but that's the game, the season I was referring to. Unfortunately, English Yardie, it's going to be a long season, boys. It's going to be a battle to stay up. All the teams around us have improved defensively. We haven't improved, and we'll still leak goals. 100% agree. And listen, I've been saying it for the last 3 or 4 seasons, and I'm not putting it down to one player. But the moment we did lose Winston Reid, we never ever replaced. We never replaced Tompkins and Reid. Never did. Never have done. And that's where the fault started from. Arus 96.7, West Ham are on our blood, so we just can't stop supporting them, but we can stand united in an attempt to force these useless clowns out of our club.
There's 3 years left, isn't there? They're not going anywhere for another 3 years.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, get your predictions in. Let me know your thoughts on what we've said today. And yeah, get subscribing to the channel, hit the thumbs up, get the comments in. And Matt, you're on Twitter, so you can get following Matt. And yeah, just keep going and give us some feedback on the shows. Thanks for joining us, and we'll speak to you soon. Come on, you Irons!